This research evaluates the effect of an embodied conversational agent's physicality on social presence. An embodied conversational agent, also referred to as an ECA, is a system represented as a person which conveys information to human users by multiple modalities, such as speech and gesture. An ECA's physicality is the objective level of physicality of an ECA's occupancy of and interaction with the physical space. Physicality has many dimensions, including, but not limited to, tactile feedback, visual realism, and the degree to which an ECA occupies the physical space. In this study, we focused on the degree of an ECA's occupancy of the physical space. Social presence is the perceived ability of a medium to connect people. We hypothesized that increasing physicality increases social presence, analogous to immersion's effect on presence. We also hypothesized that increasing social presence causes users to show more realistic behavior towards the ECAs. Our results show that increasing physicality can increase social presence and realistic behavior, but that there is also an interaction effect with plausibility. Our study involved ECAs which occupy the physical space to two different degrees. Lowest on this dimension were standard ECAs, which did not occupy the physical space at all. These characters occupied a purely virtual environment and were interacted with via a projector. Higher up were ECAs which partially occupied the physical space. They could be physically placed within the user's environment and used software-controllable physical legs, spatially correlated backgrounds, and head-coupled perspective rendering to further increase their occupancy of the physical space. We also used an ECA which fully occupied the physical space via the human patient simulator. The human patient simulator is a mannequin for medical simulation capable of blinking, breathing, and reproducing vital signs. However, it cannot move and lacks visual realism. This ECA was not varied between conditions. To explore the effects of physicality, we designed a between-subject study comparing low physicality ECAs with high physicality ECAs. Participants were alternately assigned either the high or low physicality condition. Participants were medical professionals specializing in anesthesiology. Both groups participated in a team training scenario involving themselves and three ECAs, a nurse, a patient, and a daughter of the patient. The physicality of the nurse and daughter were varied between conditions. The physicality of the patient remained constant in both conditions. Before beginning the team training scenario, participants went through a brief tutorial introducing them to ECAs, in which the nurse explained to them what he was and was not capable of. I'm a virtual human. I can respond to questions you ask. Try asking me how old I am.
How old are you, Matt?
After the tutorial, they participated in a team training exercise involving a patient complaining of chest pain after surgery. Their task was to assess what was wrong with the patient and to treat him.
Does it hurt here where I'm pointing, or here, or in your shoulder? Here on the side?
Yes.
Everywhere?
Yes.
Participants were supported by a virtual nurse capable of providing information and administering medication to the patient.
Let's start with, let's give him 20 milligrams of esmolol. Slow his heart rate.
Okay. There was also a family member of the patient present. She interrupted occasionally to express concern for her father's condition.
What's wrong with my dad? Why is his heart rate so high?
He's having pain in his chest. We need to determine if it's from his heart.
Most interactions lasted between 6 and 8 minutes. Our results showed that high physicality improved participants' perception of the nurse's social presence. The high physicality condition had higher average social presence scores for all 5 social presence statements. Results show that participants perceived the nurse to be significantly more sentient, conscious, and alive. A marginally significant difference favoring the high physicality condition was also found for the presence question. We also found that high physicality reduced the use of impersonal or unnatural modes of address, such as nurse or family member, suggesting that physicality does have an effect on realistic behavior. In the low physicality condition, 50% of participants used either family member or nurse at least once when addressing an ECA, and 10% of participants used both forms of address. No participants in the high physicality condition used either mode of address. Taking into account the daughter's low plausibility, we also observed an interaction effect between condition when comparing the nurse and daughter. For all 5 social presence questions, the differences between the high physicality nurse and daughter were greater than the low physicality nurse and daughter. Significant differences were observed for the not real and computerized questions. Our results show that increasing physicality can increase social presence and lead to realistic behavior, but carries with it increased expectations. As such, careful consideration of an ECA's ability to meet these higher expectations should be made before increasing its physicality.